You don't lose because the world is unfair. You lose because you hesitate, overthink, and wait for permission that will never come. Every excuse you make is proof that the real opponent isn't out there. It's the weaker version of you begging for comfort while your potential screams for discipline. This is not a motivation problem, it's a standards problem. Winners don't choose between smart work and hard work, they dominate with both. If you only work hard, you stay busy and broke. If you only work smart, you stay clever and slow. Power comes when strategy meets relentless execution. That's how you win the war against yourself. Ruthless self-honesty is where everything real begins, because without it you are just role-playing success while quietly negotiating with your weaknesses. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they lie to themselves daily in small, comfortable ways. They say they're trying when they're only experimenting. They say they're busy when they're actually distracted. They say they're disciplined when they only show up when it feels good. Ruthless self-honesty means ripping away that protective layer of excuses and looking directly at the numbers, the habits, and the results without emotion, without justification, without blame. It means asking yourself uncomfortable questions and refusing to soften the answers. Where is my time actually going? How many hours did I truly work with focus today? What did I produce that moved me closer to dominance, not just survival? If your bank account, body, skills, and mindset are not improving, the truth is simple. Something you are doing daily is weak, inefficient, or pointless, and pretending otherwise is self-sabotage. This level of honesty requires maturity because the ego hates exposure. The ego wants credit for effort, not results. Ruthless self-honesty only respects outcomes. You don't get rewarded for intention. The world doesn't care how hard you felt you worked. It only responds to what you delivered. That means tracking everything that matters. Track your wake up time, your training, your learning hours, your output, your income-generating actions. Numbers don't lie, but feelings do. When you see the truth on paper, you remove the fantasy version of yourself and meet the real one. That meeting can be painful because it forces you to accept responsibility. No parents to blame, no society to blame, no bad luck stories, just cause and effect. And once you accept that, power returns to your hands, because if your actions created your current life, your actions can recreate it. Ruthless self-honesty also means identifying comfort addictions. Comfort is the silent killer of ambition. Scrolling, overeating, sleeping in, pointless conversations, cheap dopamine, entertainment disguised as relaxation. These things don't look dangerous, which is why they are. A disciplined person doesn't ask, is this allowed? They ask, does this serve the version of me I'm trying to build? If the answer is no, it gets cut without negotiation. Not reduced, not justified, not postponed, cut. You don't rise by adding more motivational quotes to your life. You rise by subtracting the behaviors that drain your energy and blur your focus. That subtraction only happens when you're honest enough to admit what's wasting your potential. Another brutal part of self-honesty is recognizing skill gaps. Many people hide behind effort to avoid admitting incompetence. They work hard at the wrong things because learning feels like ego death. Ruthless honesty says, I'm not good enough yet, and that's my fault to fix. It means breaking the illusion that passion replaces competence. Passion without skill is noise. Skill without execution is useless. You must honestly assess where you're weak: communication, sales, strategy, discipline, consistency, and attack those weaknesses aggressively. No victim mindset, no waiting for confidence. Confidence is built after competence, not before it. Self-honesty also exposes your environment. Look at the people you keep close. Are they builders or complainers? Do they push standards higher or normalize mediocrity? If everyone around you is comfortable being average, staying loyal to them may cost you your future. That's not cruelty, that's reality. Ruthless honesty means accepting that proximity shapes performance. If your environment doesn't demand growth, you must either upgrade it or outgrow it. And yes, that may mean walking alone for a while. Temporary loneliness is cheaper than permanent regret. It also means being honest about your pain tolerance. Winning requires doing boring, repetitive, uncomfortable work longer than others are willing to. If you quit when it gets dull or difficult, admit it, not to shame yourself, but to fix it. Self-honesty is not self-hate. It's precision. It's saying, this is where I break, so this is where I train. When you know your breaking point, you can push it. When you lie about it, it controls you. Ruthless self-honesty strips away fantasies and replaces them with facts. And facts are powerful. Facts show you exactly what to fix, exactly what to eliminate, and exactly what to double down on. The moment you stop protecting your ego is the moment your life starts upgrading. Because when you see yourself clearly, you stop wasting time pretending and you start becoming dangerous. Most people are addicted to motivation because it feels powerful without requiring responsibility. Motivation gives a temporary emotional high, a sense of movement, a rush of belief. But belief without structure collapses the moment discomfort shows up. That's why relying on motivation is one of the weakest strategies for winning. Motivation depends on mood, energy, inspiration, and external triggers. Systems depend on none of that. Systems work when you're tired, bored, angry, unconfident, or uninspired. They don't care how you feel. And that's exactly why they win. If your progress requires you to feel ready, you've already lost control. Systems are how you take control back. A system is a set of non-negotiable actions tied to time, not emotion. You don't wake up and decide whether today is a work day. You don't negotiate with yourself about training, learning, executing, or improving. The decision was made once in advance, and now you simply follow instructions. That's how high performers remove friction. They eliminate daily decision-making around important behaviors because decisions drain energy. When you rely on motivation, you burn mental fuel every single day, convincing yourself to start. When you rely on systems, starting is automatic. There is no debate. There is no internal argument. You move because the system says move. The dangerous lie people believe is that motivation creates discipline. In reality, discipline creates motivation. Action precedes emotion, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel like working, you work until the feeling shows up or doesn't. Either way, the work gets done. Systems force action first. Once action is consistent, confidence grows. Once confidence grows, motivation follows. That's the real order. Anyone who tells you to just stay motivated is teaching you how to stay weak because they're tying your progress to something unstable. Systems also protect you from yourself. On your worst days, your mind will try to sabotage you with excuses that sound logical. Rest today, you deserve it. You'll go harder tomorrow, one day off won't matter. Systems shut that voice down. The system doesn't care about deserving. It only cares about execution. You train because it's 6 a.m. You study because it's scheduled. You work because the block exists. You don't break promises to yourself because the system doesn't allow it. Over time, this builds something far more valuable than motivation, self-trust. When you know you'll show up no matter what, fear loses its grip. Another brutal truth is that motivation often becomes a hiding place for people who love planning more than performing. They watch speeches, read quotes, visualize success, and feel productive without producing anything. Systems expose that illusion immediately. A system demands output. It demands measurable behavior. Hours logged, reps completed, pages written, calls made, revenue generated. There is no room for fantasy inside a system. Either you followed it or you didn't. Either the numbers moved or they didn't. That level of clarity is uncomfortable, but it's exactly what creates growth. Systems also compound quietly. Motivation spikes loudly and dies quickly. Systems operate in silence and build momentum over time. You don't notice the power of a daily routine in the first week or the first month. But 6 months of consistent execution creates separation so wide that people start calling you lucky or gifted. They didn't see the boring mornings, the repetitive days, the discipline when no one was watching. Systems turn ordinary effort into extraordinary results through consistency. They make average days unstoppable. The strongest systems are simple, not complex. Complexity creates excuses. Simplicity creates adherence. Fixed wake up time, fixed training window, fixed learning block, fixed execution block, same structure, different content. You don't redesign your life every week. You lock the frame and improve within it. This removes chaos and increases speed. When your day has a predictable structure, your mind stops resisting and starts performing. Freedom doesn't come from flexibility, it comes from control. Systems also expose priorities. If something isn't scheduled, it isn't important. People say health matters, but there's no training system. They say growth matters, but there's no learning system. They say success matters, but there's no execution system. Words mean nothing without structure. Systems turn values into behavior. They force alignment between who you say you are and what you actually do. And when those two finally match, confidence becomes unshakable. Most importantly, systems make you dangerous because they make you consistent under pressure. Anyone can perform when conditions are perfect. Systems train you to perform when conditions are hostile. When life hits, when stress rises, when motivation disappears, the system remains. That's when separation happens. That's when you pull ahead while others stall. You don't need to feel unstoppable when your system already is. If you want real power, stop chasing the feeling of motivation and start building structures that make excuses irrelevant. Design your days so discipline is automatic and weakness has no room to negotiate. Motivation will come and go. Systems stay. And what stays always wins. Most people confuse movement with progress, and that confusion keeps them trapped in endless effort with nothing to show for it. They wake up busy, stay busy, go to sleep exhausted, and still wonder why their life isn't changing. That's because business is comfortable. It feels productive without demanding courage. High value focus is different. High value focus is uncomfortable because it forces you to face the truth about what actually matters. It demands that you stop hiding behind small tasks and start attacking the one thing that genuinely moves your life forward. And that's terrifying for the average person because when you focus on what matters most, failure becomes visible. High value focus begins with understanding leverage. Not all actions are equal. Some actions create momentum, income, strength, skill, and opportunity. Others only create the illusion of progress. Answering emails all day, tweaking minor details, consuming content endlessly, organizing instead of executing. These things keep you occupied but weak. High value focus asks a ruthless question every day. If I could only complete one task today, which task would make everything else easier or irrelevant? That task is almost never easy, quick, or comfortable. It usually involves risk, learning, exposure, or effort that your ego wants to avoid. That's why it's valuable. The reason most people avoid high-value work is because it demands deep concentration, and deep concentration exposes weakness. When you sit alone with a difficult task, distractions disappear and excuses lose power. There's no one to blame, no noise to hide behind, just you and the work. That level of focus is rare in a world addicted to stimulation. Notifications, messages, feeds, and constant input have trained people to fragment their attention. Fragmented attention produces fragmented results. You cannot build anything significant while your mind is constantly elsewhere. High-value focus requires you to protect your attention like it's a weapon, because it is. Your attention determines what grows in your life. What you repeatedly focus on becomes stronger. If your attention is scattered across low-impact tasks, your results will be scattered too. Focus compresses time. 1 hour of deep, uninterrupted work on a high-leveraged task can outperform 10 hours of distracted effort. That's why people who understand focus seem to move faster than everyone else. They're not doing more. They're doing less, but better. There's also an emotional cost to high-value focus that most people aren't willing to pay. When you choose one important task, you are choosing to ignore many others. That creates anxiety. Your mind tells you you're falling behind, missing out, being irresponsible. But that's just the withdrawal symptoms of distraction. Focus always feels wrong at first because it goes against the habit of constant stimulation. You have to retrain your nervous system to tolerate boredom, silence, and sustained effort. That's a skill, and like any skill, it strengthens with repetition. Another brutal truth is that high-value focus often doesn't give immediate rewards. Low-value tasks give quick dopamine. High-value work gives delayed results. That delay is where most people quit. They want proof before commitment. Winners commit before proof. They trust the process because they understand cause and effect. They know that skills compound, reputation compounds, discipline compounds. You don't see it today, but you feel it months later when opportunities start finding you instead of the other way around. High-value focus also forces you to confront fear. The tasks that matter most usually involve being judged, rejected, or tested. Making the call, publishing the work, training when you're tired, learning something difficult. These actions threaten the ego because they carry the possibility of failure. So the mind pushes you towards safe tasks that feel productive but carry no risk. High-value focus is the decision to act despite fear, not after it disappears. Fear doesn't go away when you wait. It grows. It shrinks only when you move directly through it. To sustain high-value focus, you must intentionally eliminate low-value inputs. You cannot expect elite output while consuming average noise. Endless scrolling, constant opinions, and passive entertainment dull your ability to concentrate. They make deep work feel painful. That's not because deep work is wrong, but because your brain has been overstimulated. When you reduce noise, clarity returns. When clarity returns, focus becomes easier. This is why serious performers are ruthless about their environment. They don't rely on willpower. They remove temptation. High-value focus also reveals your true priorities. People say everything matters. That's a lie. If everything matters, nothing does. Life rewards those who choose. Choosing means sacrifice. It means saying no to good things to make room for great ones. It means accepting short-term discomfort for long-term dominance. Most people want balance. Balance keeps you average. Focus creates imbalance in the short term and freedom in the long term. Over time, high-value focus changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. You gain quiet confidence, not because you feel special, but because you know what you can do when it counts. You trust yourself under pressure. You don't panic when things get hard because difficulty is familiar. That's the real reward of focus, not just results, but control. When you master high-value focus, your days stop feeling chaotic. You know exactly what matters, and you attack it early with intensity before distractions have a chance to creep in. Everything else becomes secondary. That clarity is power. And power applied consistently separates winners from everyone else. In the end, this entire message comes down to one brutal reality. No one is coming to save you from the life you are settling for. Every day, you are either building power or surrendering it. And the choice is made in the smallest moments, when you decide whether to be honest with yourself, whether to follow your system, whether to focus on what actually matters. Winning is not a single breakthrough or a dramatic turning point. It is the quiet accumulation of disciplined days where excuses were denied and standards were enforced. The person you become is shaped less by what you dream about and more by what you repeatedly do when no one is watching. Ruthless self, honesty strips away fantasy and replaces it with clarity. Systems remove emotion and replace it with execution. High-value focus cuts through noise and replaces chaos with direction. Together, these are not motivational ideas, they are weapons. They force responsibility onto your shoulders and refuse to let you hand it back. This is why most people avoid them. Comfort feels safer than truth. Motivation feels easier than structure. Business feels better than focus. But safety has never built strength, and ease has never created dominance. The real competition was never other people. It was never circumstances, luck, or timing. It has always been you versus the version of yourself that wants shortcuts, validation, and comfort. Every time you choose discipline over impulse, structure over mood, focus over distraction, you win that battle, and every small win compounds, momentum builds, confidence hardens. Over time, what once felt impossible becomes normal, and what once intimidated you becomes routine. That is how separation is created. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop negotiating with weakness. Decide once, build systems, and execute daily with precision. Think smarter, work harder, demand more from yourself than life ever will. Because when you win against yourself consistently, the world has no choice but to follow. Thank you for watching and for choosing to invest your time in becoming stronger, sharper, and more disciplined. If this message challenged you, inspired you, or pushed you even slightly out of your comfort zone, then it did its job. Remember, real change starts with action, not intention. If you found value in this video, support the channel by liking, sharing, and subscribing. It helps this message reach those who need it most. Drop a comment below with your biggest takeaway or the one habit you're committing to improve starting today. Stay focused. Stay disciplined. Keep winning the battle of you. Thank you again, and goodbye until the next level.